Welcome to AstroTea, everyone. This is your weekly astro forecast that we host on Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard, 3 p.m. BST to take a closer look at the transits and cosmic energy of the week ahead. So go ahead and join the Astro Fam and stay connected because there is so much more to come. We also have the 2023-24 Astro Calendar, and this is going to be your bestie for the next year of zodiac signs. This calendar is actually broken up into zodiac seasons instead of the Gregorian calendar months so that you can align with nature and the seasons with the major planetary transits, the new and full moon dates, chakras, body parts, and the tarot. So if you haven't already, go ahead and join our email list and don't forget to purchase your AstroTea products. Just click the link here at the top of the room to access all of that exclusive tea. What else do we have, Soul?
Yes, I'm excited for you all to continue purchasing the journal. We've heard some really great feedback. So for those of you joining us for the first time, we're going to go through the energy of the upcoming week. We're going to talk about the astrology and the corresponding tarot cards that go with those transits. And then we'll turn on hand raising at the end to have a conversation on stage for any major takeaways or questions or comments that you have about today's episode. So in the meantime, you can definitely hit us in the chat box and we'll get to your comments throughout the episode. So if you want to grab some tea, get your AstroTea journal open. We're going to start with Monday, tomorrow, April 24th. We got two major things going on that I want to talk about for this day. So we have the Sun in Taurus is conjunct the North Node in Taurus. And this is really important for us to discuss. This is happening at 4 degrees Taurus, which is where the Sun will be conjunct the North Node. 4 degrees, as we know, has a little bit of that Cancer flavor and seasoning. And it's also within the first decan of Taurus. So we're in this not only like that Cancerian energy of 4th degrees, but we're in the Venus decan of Taurus as well. So it's really about how are we relating on a one-to-one basis to people, places, and things in our reality, and how does that translate to any like emotions we may feel about that relationship. So this is a major checkpoint for us to evaluate and see the manifestations of the self-worth work that we've been doing. We're coming to the end of this lunar chapter with the nodes. As we know, they're shifting into Aries and Libra in July. So the Sun in Taurus is bringing this conscious awareness to where we've elevated and where we have room to grow in our value, in our financial discipline, and our commitment to calling in stability in various aspects of our lives. So this is like really important. I feel like a lot of us will get some sort of emotional or just conscious awareness about like what has this journey been like for us since the North Node has been in Taurus for about 18 months now at this 18 months by the time it shifts into a new sign. And we also have the moon in Gemini will be sextile Jupiter in Aries. So this is happening at 24 degrees. The moon will be at 24 degrees Gemini, sextile Jupiter at 24 degrees Aries. So here we have the potential to manifest conversations about wealth, stability, diversifying our income, and expanding our creative and wealth building networks. It's really important to carry confidence and conviction in yourself. Trust that your vision of what you want to build is not only possible, but effortless, and then watch the energy of your conversations and interactions drastically shift. This is also about adventure and expansion that is practical and within reach, especially within your local neighborhood or community or through like associates and friends, right? Try out a new cafe, a bookstore, a new gym, a local bar, right? Sign up for a class or workshop that deals with the skill that you want to cultivate, and then watch that magic of expansion unfold. I feel like those opportunities that again aren't like super flamboyant and detail oriented and logistically heavy, like just very simplistic things of trying new things in your neighborhood will present opportunities for you to carry yourself with that confidence and conviction that may lead to very lucrative and prosperous conversation. It could be with money, but it could also be resources, access to information, access to like exclusive or private networks or communities or events, things like that. But we have to take that initiative to put ourselves out there in a new context and with this uplifted frequency as well. So that's what I have for Monday. What does this sextile with the moon in Gemini and Jupiter in Aries look like in the tarot, Empress?
Yeah, so for Monday, April 24th, the Sun in Taurus conjunct the North Node in Taurus is happening, but we also have the Moon in Gemini, sextile Jupiter in Aries, and that second transit in the Tarot is the High Priestess in the Lovers and Knight of Swords energy, sextile the Four of Wands. And with today's forecast, we are really feeling how others that we're in relationships with make us feel on a day like today. So what energy we communicate in those relationships we have, noticing if we laugh a lot, if we don't at all, right? If we share intimate moments that have tied us to each other emotionally, and how you would like to move forward in general, showing appreciation to those people in your life and receiving tokens of appreciation from those people. So there could be a lot of really lovely conversations that people have today that leave them happy, feeling in more of like a flirty, giddy, and childlike mood. I also love what you mentioned, Sol, about conversations having to do with wealth and expanding our networks, right? In the same way, we may have others in the collective that voice how much they want to be able to have these types of emotional connections and communication with someone that they're in a relationship with, because there could be a bit more arguments happening in those relationship dynamics and energetic exchanges that just attempt to throw off the vibe, right? Kind of like the Kendrick Lamar song. So the High Priestess is really bringing up these types of conversations today on this moon day, opening up Taurus season. It's really to help us to get a feel for our true value and how we allow others of specific values to engage with us more intimately than society. So express your feelings today. Speak up for yourself if you want to experience more love, more intention, more affection, communication, more healing, more spiritual connection, more happiness, and or more peace in these relationships that are being brought up today. I'm getting literally all kinds of relationships as well. So even though we have the Lovers card here and the Four of Wands, which does speak to relationships like intimate lovers relationships, I'm also getting relationships with parents, relationships with friends, relationships with business partners, as well as Sol mentioned with money conversation and networking. So all types of relationships are being affected on a day like today. So definitely feel free to communicate and share your emotions and practice your emotional maturity, right? That we've been working on since Pisces season. So that's what I'm seeing for Monday's forecast. Let's get into Tuesday, Sol.
Yeah, I was definitely getting family energy as well, like with parents or siblings or cousins. And I was like, someone's cousin's a DJ and you haven't gone to their set yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've been out here trying to make it as a DJ for months. And it's like, it's time for you to go and support, you know, just one night. And you never know what can happen, right? Pouring into and investing into these local relationships, right, that are already in your sphere of, you know, your domain, right? It's not going to take this 15-minute drive to the local bar where your cousin been DJing at, okay? So go support your family. So Tuesday, I don't know who that was for. Go check on your cousin. They're trying to make it out here, make an honest living, okay? Tuesday, April 25th, we got the Sun in Taurus, sextile Saturn in Pisces. And this day is really telling us that all of our dreams and aspirations are already ours. And we just got to put in some elbow grease. Right? We have to create the system, structure, and support, right? I'll say that again, the systems, the structure, and the support to nurture the manifestations that we're calling in. That's what the Sun in Taurus is bringing to Saturn in Pisces. Again, remember when we have aspects with the luminaries, meaning either the sun or the moon, understand the sun is projecting onto the other planet and the moon is receiving from the other planet. So that's why I'm like, what does the Sun in Taurus have to say or to project onto Saturn in Pisces, which we've already talked about, is that bridge between the ethereal and the practical, the ethereal and the material, right? So that's already a theme that's going on with the with Saturn being in Pisces. So what is the Sun in Taurus bringing to that? More of that fixed, grounded earth energy of like, how are we going to sustain this? How are we going to maintain this? How are we going to double it? How are we going to triple it, right? How are we going to flip it? How are we going to stack it? How are we going to make it last for a long time? How do we play the long game with this abundance? So it is bringing perseverance and dedication to support the creation of these structures that turn our wildest dreams into our lived reality. This is a really auspicious day to commit to taking small and deliberate actions to day by day get us closer to this legacy that we're building. This is also a day where past efforts and endeavors can pay off. You may be noticed, recognized, or rewarded for work that you didn't realize other people noticed. So for example, I have a friend of mine, she's 24. She got some of her artwork displayed in a museum exhibit in California. Mind you, she's from Boston, so I still have to catch up with her and see how this process happened and unfolded. But her photography was featured in a gallery in a museum in California. And the gag is that those were photos that she took when she was 19. And she expressed, when she was sharing the story, she expressed that her 19-year-old self would never imagine that years later those photos would be in a gallery, but she's thankful to her 19-year-old self for trying a new artistic medium and pursuing that as a creative outlet. So that's kind of what I mean. Work that you did in the past that you're like, no one realized or no one recognized or no one noticed it. You might unexpectedly get some sort of reward or recognition for that previous work. And then also, I had to take you out of church just a little bit. This made me think about this Bible verse that I recalled. It's in the book of James chapter 2. It says, "What does it profit, my brethren, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister is naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you says to them, 'Depart in peace, be warmed and filled,' but you do not give them the things which are needed for the body, what does it profit? Thus also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead." So I think that's a huge theme for Taurus season. I like that the Bible talks about those things. So I think in the Christian faith, a lot of people are like, just pray, God will take care of it. It's no, if someone is literally naked and destitute of food and you say, "Depart in peace," but you don't actually give them food or clothing, is that actually helpful? If you're not providing those material, earthly human needs that people have, right? So I think that's what this day is really talking about, that practicality and material element that the sun in Taurus is bringing to this very ethereal Piscean energy that is very important and we cannot neglect during this time and this season. So what are we going to do to cultivate and maintain and nurture this abundance that we're bringing in a more three-dimensional way? So that's what I have for Tuesday's energy. Empress, what does this look like in the tarot?
Yes, faith without works is dead. So true. Especially, like you said, that's a Taurus, kind of quote, or a Taurus of us, right? So for April 25th on Tuesday, we have the Sun in Taurus, sextile Saturn in Pisces. And in the tarot, this is the Sun in the Hierophant and King of Pentacles energy, sextile the World in the Moon and Knight of Swords, or Knight of Cups, sorry. So this is the divine time right now. This is what I was getting, this is the divine time for us right now in this very moment. I feel like a lot of us have asked for this moment energetically that we're experiencing right now in the past, like you said. So with that, your friend that, did those works when she was 19, it's we've had faith in moments in our life where we didn't have access to the energy that we have now for it to gain trajectory in the way that we wanted to see back then. But it's the divine time right now with this Taurus and Saturn energy on today's transit. And so the sun is in the Hierophant, so you'll naturally feel more happy, more positive, productive, and confident by being in the Hierophant and King of Pentacles energy. So committing to tasks, being diligent, being resourceful, making those profound changes with the number 5 to dedicate yourself to connecting with spirit through the way you live your life. This is a really great time of wealth, abundance, and synchronization with nature through our intuition. And our spiritual senses are really being heightened as we continue to show up for ourselves and do the work, right? Faith without works is dead. This is our year, right? This is our year, and we can feel it. So all we have to do is be disciplined with whatever we initiated in Aries season, whatever we've initiated and started working on from before this divine time right now, and see it through, right? Continue to work. If you have faith in what you want to bring about, continue to put the time and energy into it, is what this transit is saying with this energy. So really straightforward day. Don't talk about it, be about it, and continue to, tend to the garden. So I'll end it there. Let's go ahead and get into Wednesday's transit. So
I love how we're always in sync, like that part, tend to the garden. Definitely, we're going to come back to that as a theme for this week. And I love how you said creativity and resourcefulness, because that is the relationship between Taurus and Pisces. If y'all remember, those who've been rocking with us, every time I talk about Taurus and Pisces, we talk about how creative and resourceful are you willing to be with what you have in order to make your dreams a reality. So I love that you mentioned that. It's the dedication is an example of your faith in it, that day-to-day commitment that's required. So with Wednesday, April 26th, we have the moon in Cancer trine Neptune in Pisces. So on this Mercury day, we have the opportunity to see a situation clearly, despite the heavy emotions that come with that clarity, right? Which we're like, what are you talking about? It's Neptune in Cancer, right? But Neptune in Pisces, for me on this day, it's granting us just enough haze, right? That kind of fogginess and compassion to see a heavy situation and accept it for what it is in our life. It's like, it's not the real raw reality that might send us running and trigger us emotionally, but like through the fog, we get what it is. We know what the situation is, but that fog is almost like grace. We can think of it as grace. It's like, okay, I could peer through the fog and see that 2 + 2 is 4, but like spirit's not dragging me and trying to show this to me right in my face, kind of like it did with the eclipse. I'm still kind of feeling wobbly from the eclipse. It's very like intense energy that we've been experiencing for the past few days, and those are kind of like the curtain is drawn back, and then whatever's behind it, you just seeing it front and center. But this is a more soft and graceful energy that we're actually able to see through that fog a little bit and understand the relationship between that illusion or clarity with our emotions with this moon in Cancer. So the truth is, a lot of us are gardeners. And that's why I was like, definitely it resonates with what Empress was talking about. A lot of us are gardeners in the sense that we nurture, tend to, water, care for, and breathe life into the people, places, and things that we're devoted to, right? We're the type of people that leave things in a better state than how they were when we found them, when we first crossed paths, right? We bring life and beauty everywhere we go. What is being revealed is that we don't necessarily tend to the people, places, and things that appreciate us, but rather we tend to the people, places, and things that make us feel a sense of familiarity and emotional obligation. And some of those familiar people, places, and things have grown accustomed to treating our care as something to be expected rather than something to be grateful for. So with this realization, how can we move compassionately through this? It may not look like snatching all of our love back and leaving people out in the cold, but it may be accepting the areas that we keep watering, tending to, and caring for, and we're not seeing growth. We're not seeing flowers blooming. We're not seeing fruit ready to harvest. We just keep pouring in this energy, and it's not helping, right? Maybe we are in a better financial situation, and people, our family we're the one that our family calls. Oh, can you pay this? Can you do this? Can you do that? And you kind of feel like, well, what are y'all doing with all this abundance that I'm giving y'all? Y'all always have a problem. You're never coming to me with, look what I did with what you helped me. Or here, now I'm in a position that I'm able to solve a problem you may have. It's like, why is there more problems? Like, I keep putting out fires, right? So we have a choice, right, with this awareness that we develop on this day. A choice to either continue giving to what is familiar and just accept that it's a labor of love, right? That we may not necessarily get something back or see something be fruitful or bloom or expand as a result of our hard work. Or we can take our gifts to environments that will thrive exponentially because of our efforts, and places where our talents are appreciated and amplified and contribute to a greater collective good. So I think we have an awareness that brings about a choice that can be made about this moon in Cancer, this nurturing energy that we have towards whatever and whoever we feel emotionally connected to. So this theme kind of continues for the week. We'll get through it as we progress through the week. But for now, I want to hear your take, Empress, on this trine between the moon and Neptune.
Yeah, so on Wednesday, April 26th, we have Mars in Cancer trining Neptune in Pisces. And in the tarot, this is the Two of Cups trying the Eight of Cups energy. And this can be a very reminiscent and nostalgic day when it comes to either remembering loving moments in relationships with certain people, or reflecting on moments where you felt alone and emotionally low, or you had to walk away from a situation that was tough and didn't have some and it did have some good moments, right? But there were a lot of challenges that went on. Because this is a trine with today's forecast, you can be thinking about something completely different today. You could be thinking about work and how much you have to get done, right? And something that reminds you of a memory that you had, whether it's happy or challenging, can pop up today. It can also be you reflecting on both the happy and challenging memories throughout the day. So you'll get one happy memory that pops up in your mind, and then a challenging one will pop up. For some in the collective, this may also bring up conversations with Mercury being retrograde. So we have this energy today with people reflecting on, oh, these reminiscent, amazing moments. That was so nostalgic. I remember when we had that picnic that day. That was so romantic. That was the first time anyone ever, like really bawed out and got me the best gift ever. And then you remember the challenging moment, like that was the most intense fight that I ever had with someone. That was the most emotionally taxing experience that I ever had to go through, right? So those ups and downs are just kind of coming back up for us emotionally. This may bring up conversations because it's Mercury retrograde in the background as well. So reflecting on these happy and challenging memories, or even seeing pictures, right? Because with the Cancer energy, you have photography, you have pictures, right? So you might even see pictures of a past person, or on social media, or in your phone, that bring up these happy or challenging moments. They could be pictures in your house, or memories, things in your house, material objects in your house that bring up memories, right? That bring on conversations because they realize the value. This person may reach out to you because they realize the value the relationship brought to their life at that time. So that that could be a situation for some of you. In general, for all of us though, this is just feeling like a throwback, nostalgic, reminiscent day to do all the re's, right? We have Mercury retrograde, reflect. So this is a great day to revise, to re-engage, to revise, to replan, to repair, right? So directing your focus to your emotions today will really help you realize the flow and not resist. Again, going over this is only bringing your attention to the value of communication, having to revisit those happy and challenging moments in the mind and in conversation, right? So in that double, in both ways, internally and externally. If you do want to speak to the specific person, then do that. If you do not want to speak to the specific person that's coming up in these memories on a day like today, speak to a mother figure with this Cancer energy, or even take a shower or a bath, right? Walk with water on a day like today with the Cancer and Pisces energy. If you have a beach, amazing, go to the beach, right? Or just incorporate water and allow any tears to flow perhaps in those memories that are coming up for you as you release any of that energy that's not serving you, and you're forgiving and you're showing gratitude for the situation and you're breathing, right? So this is a really great day to have those types of memories come up, but then it's also a really great time to practice your emotional awareness, your emotional maturity. Again, as we mentioned, like your emotional awareness and your emotional maturity, I keep bringing these up because these are the underlying reasons why we're going through these energetic waves and situations and experiences, is so that we can elevate for a lot of us into this new revolution in positions of spiritual leadership. And so we really have to work on ourselves, minding our vibration and practicing our superpowers, right? So that's what I'm seeing for today. I'll leave it there. Let's go ahead and get into Thursday Soul.
Yeah, when you were talking before you said mother figure, I got this like imagery of either going through like old pictures of like women in someone's family, or like even clothing that's been passed down, and the memories that come up with like, oh, this belonged to my grandma, or this was my mom's sweater that now I wear, and I remember when she used to take me to the park as a kid wearing the sweater. Like, that's the imagery that I got, and I appreciate that insight, because like I got what I got for it, but I resonate so much with what you're speaking to about the nostalgic element. It's a very nostalgic day. So on Thursday, April 27th, we go from nostalgia to being triggered. So we got Mars in Cancer square Chiron in Aries on Thursday, April 27th. So going back to this theme of familiarity that I discussed on Wednesday, this day is bringing up triggers that are for our awareness of familiar emotional patterns and programming, especially the emotions that result from a negative self-perception at an early point in our lives. So it's kind of like, that's why I really appreciated the nostalgia, because nostalgia, I think the connotation of nostalgia is like, oh, the good old days. Like, we're reflecting about the past in a way that seems positive or better than the present moment. But in this, adding Mars to that nostalgic energy, it's more about like events that were rooted in conflict or strife or defensiveness, or that trigger our emotions and our emotional responses, like the nervous system, right? At a chemical level, the chemicals and the hormones and the adrenaline that's being released as we are remembering or being like re-traumatized due to certain like emotional patterns. So innate emotional and defensive patterns that arise when we feel invalidated, misunderstood, or shamed for being our true selves are under the magnifying glass today. What were these moments that redefined our lives and propelled us into this fight or flight mode, where we're constantly having our guard up and our claws out? We've developed hypersensitive nervous systems that at the first fractional feeling of danger, we're ready to air everybody out in order to protect ourselves. Maybe because we didn't have someone to look out for us and come to our rescue when we were in a vulnerable state. This energy may also bring up defensiveness and hyper-independence in relationships for both men and women, but I was getting more so women that are really clinging into their masculine energy, because it may be very vulnerable to the point of feeling unsafe to be soft, to trust, and to be guided. Right? So how are we shutting down love and connection because of our instinctive defense mechanisms? How can we stop even for a moment to ask ourselves, is there any real danger here, or am I safe? Right? I think that we will have people who actually care for us and love us in our lives like trigger these emotions that we have to reconcile. Like, okay, it's not them, like they are a representation of this emotion, but they're actually here to like love me, to soften me, to get me to trust, to get me to be myself and to let my guard down. Like, they are not the source of this pain, but what is the source of this pain, and how can I perhaps be more open or vulnerable to we don't have to tell our partners or the people that we love everything, right, about our past pain and hurt, but how can we at least acknowledge that we are assigning these emotions to someone who really is just coming in our lives to love us, and like how can we build closer relationships as a result of that awareness? Empress, what's your take on this square?
It's really interesting when you said that last part about how we're shutting down love and possibly connecting because of instinctive defensive mechanisms for some of us in the collective. I got this visual of like someone being around a campfire and someone steps on a twig and it snaps, and then all of a sudden someone's like mad flinching and jumping, so it's like exactly what you said, like, is there any real danger or am I safe? And I'm just like feeling triggered because of past experiences emotionally. So yeah, that just came to me when you said that. So for Thursday, April 27th, we have Mars in Cancer squaring Chiron in Aries, and this in the tarot is the Three of Cups squaring Chiron in the Emperor and Queen of Wands energy. And girl, today I was getting the word triggered too, but I was trying so hard not to use it. Like, oh my goodness. So when you were like, girl, this is triggering, we went from like a different type of vibe on Wednesday to like feeling triggered today. And that's so funny because that was the word that, you know, came up for me as well when I was looking at this energy, especially with Chiron and, like you said, the intense Aries Mars energy. So today's forecast brings up an energy of really having to embrace leadership skills in group dynamics. And you may be the person in the group, right, that's super easygoing and willing to go along with whatever others want for the sake of peace in the group. And while, you know, you never really speak up about your own creative sparks, you also never share anything about your ideas that can contribute to the energy of the group. For others of you, you may have already had experience with being a leader in a group dynamic or situation. And maybe while you were the leader, goals weren't met, right? And that wounded you and your confidence in being able to lead again for future, right? That kind of like mechanism where you're kind of like, oh, flinch. I don't know if I want to be a leader because the last time I was put in a leadership position, like we didn't get there. We didn't make it, you know, mama, I didn't make it. So, you know, you may have not gotten to that point. Regardless of which one that you resonate with, right? Now is the time to make your passions, moves, and ideas actually known to the group. Right? This is the moment where you need to get out of your comfort zone. Remember earlier on in the week with the Sun in Taurus and Saturn Saturn in Pisces, I was saying this is the divine time right now. This is the energy right now. You can't be scared anymore right now. You just have to do it right now because faith without works is dead right now. So, you know, with this square being the aspect made in this transit, this energy that you are kind of quote unquote all of a sudden trying to have in your group may not be accepted very well, right? Because it then challenges the ideas of others who aren't really used to you speaking up. They're used to you just going with the flow. They're used to you just raising your hand up to be in favor with whatever they say. They're not used to you really having anything to say or communicate any ideas, anything like that. So it's important to see, or just important that you see the value in your ideas so much that even if you're not able to do that idea or implement that action plan in the group dynamic, you can do it on your own. You can be bad all by yourself, you know? Don't be afraid to do things outside of a group dynamic. That was something I was also getting for some of you with the Three of Cups energy. It's like, I'm only used to doing things that get somewhere in my life if I work in a team. And it's like, no, like I said, this is the divine time right now for you to be able to see the value in yourself and get to work for yourself and see results for yourself and reap the harvest for yourself in Virgo season. Okay, so don't be afraid, or not afraid, but don't shy away from using ideas that come up for you at this time as you're revising, as you're looking over, you know, what you have worked on, projects that you've worked on in the past, things are coming back up. As this is happening, as you're having conversations about money and you're having ideas about how to make money, products or services that you can have, be okay with doing it on your own. If you're not able to do it in a group setting like you always are or you're used to, right? Also be mindful of how you're displaying good leadership skills in your demeanor, right? This is the Emperor energy. This is Aries energy we're seeing here. So have good leadership skills with the demeanor that you come across in the way that you share your ideas and your perspective. Have that air of maturity, that Emperor status energy where it's like, even though you guys never heard me share before, that doesn't mean this Emperor wasn't never here before. You know, like I've always had this Emperor energy. I'm just now deciding to share it, right? And so the way, even if you're not automatically promoted to team captain, right? If everyone's like, oh my gosh, that's the bombest idea ever, why didn't you ever talk to us before, like, you're gonna be our team captain, we have to put you as the leader. Even if people don't have that reaction to you sharing ideas, have confidence in sharing your ideas, and have the emotional maturity, right? Display that emotional maturity, because people will have no choice but to respect you, right? Even from that unwilling witness. That's like, how dare she talk and say, or how dare he say something about what we should do or how we should be moving after never speaking up, right? But wow, I actually respect them for having confidence to share their ideas and doing it with so much suave, with doing it with such a great demeanor, with doing it with such confidence, with doing it with so much Emperor stability, right? Being so stable and standing on what their idea is, and just like being confident in yourself. So just keep that in mind for today's energy, for today's transit. I'll go ahead and leave it there, soul, but let's go ahead and get into Friday's transit.
You made me think about how, like, as the moon is shifting into Leo this week, like, recognition is a motivator for some people, but like, you're never going to get that recognition of like, wow, like, they're a great leader if you don't show yourself approved. Like, if you don't try to lead and fail and learn and grow and develop as a leader, you're never going to even give other people the chance to say, wow, like, she's a great leader. So like, I do know that external recognition is a motivator for some people. It's not the best. It's not great to outsource, validation, because then that kind of puts us in a loop of where we're dependent on it from outside sources, but it is a motivating factor for some people. And like, how can you get to that level of recognition if you don't at least try to put yourself out there? So I appreciate that aspect of it, as well as we shift into Friday's energy, where now the moon is in Leo. For some reason, the moon seems like it's moving fast this week. Like, we have the moon in Gemini, and then Cancer, and then Leo, and then somehow Virgo by the end of the week. I don't really know. I was looking at that. I'm not really sure. Right. So the moon is now in Leo on Friday, April 28th, and it's going to be squaring Mercury retrograde in Taurus. So this is definitely a day to take a pause before speaking or acting out of intense emotions, because when we're dealing with fixed signs like Leo and Taurus, if it's up, then it's stuck, right? So you might cause some irreparable damage by being a loose cannon. So just be mindful. If it's a bridge you don't care about burning, then I don't know, that's between you and God. But if it's something that requires some finesse, or maybe it's not a bridge that you completely want to burn down to the ground, just be cautious about your words and your actions if you're very fueled emotionally. And this is also a great day to assess your financial habits and bring in some order. I feel like there is hidden abundance, right? A lot of us have hidden abundance, and we have a luxury budget, right? There's somewhere in the budget there is room for luxury that we're not seeing, we're not realizing, because of our disorganization with where our money is going. So as an exercise, take last month's statement, right? Just 1 month, and look at where your money is going, right? This is not sponsored, even though it could be, wink, wink, but Mint is a really great app that I use that actually takes inventory of all of your expenses and then puts them into general categories that you can also customize. So like food, entertainment, I don't know, subscriptions, clothing, like it has like general groceries, right? It separates, like, it can also separate like groceries versus eating out and stuff like that. Like, you can customize as many categories, and then like say like every time I have a charge from Uber, it goes into transportation, and then Uber Eats goes into dining out. You can kind of like customize what expenses go into which category. So it's really helpful to get this honest assessment, right? Because we are in Taurus season, we are talking about finances and stability and all of these things. So there's a time and season for everything, and we're definitely in the season of doing some accounting of our expenses. So it's important to just sit and reflect. And I know that some of us avoid that, because what are we avoiding? We're going to avoid all those transactions that it's like, dang, I really spent that much on Uber Eats this month. Dang, I really spent that much on clothes this month. It's accountability. You see all your expenses, especially the emotional expenses that you had, all on one little sheet of paper, right? So For example, are there subscriptions that you didn't realize that you're being charged for, right? Go to the subscriptions of your iPhone settings. You're going to be surprised how many apps you have on auto renewal that you didn't know you were paying for. You're going to realize like how many expenses are you incurring simply by being disorganized. So for example, not realizing that missing sweater is in the back of your closet, so you buy another one because you thought you lost it, right? Or waking up late for work, so now you have to Uber instead of walk. Or mismanaging your time, so now you have to order out because you didn't meal prep for lunch this week. Simple things like that is like having more structure and order can really save us a lot of money. That when we kind of account for all of that, there's our luxury budget, right? Moon in Leo likes to feel pampered, likes to feel luxurious. So this whole thing of I can't afford to get my nails done or my hair braided or go to the spa or get a facial or do this, we actually might have some of that money if we just reorganize the other aspects of our finances and see like where are like the loose hole, like where are the leaks in the boat, right, of our finances. So we have a lot more money to spend on pampering ourselves than we may think. So it's important to use this retrograde to get our finances and those structures in order so that we can maximize the money that's already coming in with both intention and strategy. So that's what I have for Friday's energy. What does the square look like in the tarot, Empress?
Yes, I love that. Major energy when it comes to expenses for today, 100%. When it comes to Friday, we on the 28th of April are having the moon in Leo squaring Mercury retrograde in Taurus. And in the tarot, this is the high priestess in strength and the king of wands squaring the 6 of pentacles in the reverse. And this is the I want to step out energy, but I don't have the funds energy. This is what I was feeling for today with Leo and Taurus, okay? Because checks and balances were not harmonious with the 6 of Pentacles in the reverse. Like Soul said, you want to pamper yourself, but you have subscriptions you haven't canceled that you're getting charged for, right? And so today really poses as that reality check for Taurus season. As we're just coming into this Taurus energy, we're still in the 4th decan, right? We're starting to work on our value. And so today poses a reality check to us as a collective that you cannot keep tapping your card and not looking at or replenishing the balance, right? We're all working towards that soft girl era or that soft life era in our lives where we can shop all day and go and get all the treatments we want and go and get our hair did and our nails done and pamper ourselves and do all these things and not even check our bank accounts once. We're all looking forward to and we're all working towards that. But for right now, we still have more work to do until we're completely where we want to be, specifically at that era. So this is trying to flex and getting a rejected type of communication with the square for people that are trying to do too much, right? Because that Leo energy, yeah, sometimes you could be trying to do too much, okay? So I'll say this, as long as you are doing things from a space of integrity and that royal energy, even if you get rejected, it will just confirm the difference in frequency. So for example, if you were to have some type of engagement with another person and they somehow reject you with the 6 of Pentacles in the reverse, rejection, is God's protection sometimes. So don't take rejection personally. Sometimes when you go up to go and pamper yourself or go into that shop and it gets declined, God is trying to give you a reality check like, girl, you're doing too much. Sometimes you do have the funds, but your bank is like, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have the actual funds available to spend, but God makes the bank put you on alert, right? You're trying to tap your card and then, they're like, it's declined. You're like, I know I have money in my account. I just got paid today. But Spirit's like, we trying to tell you to slow down, baby. Like, we just want you to think before you're tapping right now because your rent hasn't come out yet. Like you just spent $500 on stuff and you only got paid $1,000 and your rent is like $450. Like, what are you doing? So, rejection is God's protection at some at some moments, right? So don't take rejection personally on a day like today. Instead, have the courage with this strength card to stay your course and continue taking the actions that will allow you to shine brightly long term. Like Soul said, look at things like Mint that can help you to address and take a look at your expenses more closely with the Six of Pentacles in reverse. How can I revise my resources? How can I revise my material assets to go ahead and make things a bit more balanced? Six of Pentacles is in reverse right now. Mercury is in retrograde right now. So we're all taking a look at those things and seeing how to improve on it. So during Taurus season, we're building, we're learning to value our time and energy and how we spend it. During Mercury retrograde, we're reflecting on how to commit to a new tone of conversation that puts respect on your name. So if you drift away from some people at this time, it's only to get you and them in alignment, and maybe it's best for you to both take time to focus on your separate plans, right? In the same way, take this time out to get everything in order, to stay fixed in the plans that you started, and look at how you can get it better in terms of the financial sector so that you can continue on throughout the rest of the year and have something to sustain yourself and see that the wealth accumulate and build up and the abundance increase for you. So that's what I'm seeing for Friday's energy. Let's go ahead and get into Saturday's forecast. So
yes, I love the weekend. So Saturday, April 29th, we have Mars in Cancer, sextile Uranus in Taurus. And this is happening at 18 degrees, which is a Virgo degree. So this is an action-packed day where we're being electrified to both create and sustain new innovative ideas. And I feel like for some of us, like this is the breaking point of like, I literally cannot go on living like this. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, what is it? Like necessity is the mother of all invention. Like that's the point for a lot of us. Like I cannot continue to live like this, think like this, function like this, go about my day-to-day like this. So how can I innovate certain solutions that make me feel more emotionally stable and comfortable within my living like environment? And I think being willing to find these dynamic solutions to the problems that arise will bring unexpected abundance into our life, even if that just means a kind of confirmation that we are capable of figuring things out when the going gets tough, right? So this is a day where it's a very like mentally active day as well. Like Mars and Cancer is in the third house of the sun, so it's again about our mindset about for example, things like community, family, feeling emotionally stable. What are the thoughts that, you know, are related to these aspects of our lives? And then how is Uranus and Taurus kind of bringing these radical, innovative solutions that sometimes could be boundaries? Like I'll talk about that on Sunday too. Like with Earth energy, Earth signs definitely have to deal with the feeling of resentment very often because we're naturally like givers and providers, and we do it with this sort of finesse that makes it look effortless, so that, you know, the people around us are like, oh, it's nothing for them to give this or to do this, but they didn't see all the hard work that went into orchestrating something that looks so effortless. So I think that even this day, how can boundaries, and with this Virgo degree as well being like purity, right? Purity for ourselves. How can we honor ourselves through boundaries so that we don't get emotionally out of whack and then feel aggressive or defensive or have resentment, and then that starts to affect the way that we think and view and relate to the world around us. So it's like, be open to these dynamic solutions that Uranus and Taurus can bring to Mars and Cancer, because Mars and Cancer is the faster moving planet. So as Mars starts to approach Uranus, I feel like that's when we'll start to feel that energy increasing of like, okay, something's got to give, something's got to give, something's got to give. And then at the point where we have an exact conjunction to where it's separating, Mars and Cancer is now moving on by past Uranus and Taurus, that may be our aha moment or our epiphany, or we see some sort of result at after putting this dynamic solution in play, right? Like, oh wow, like I don't feel as triggered after I put that boundary in, or I don't feel as nervous after bringing some some sort of stability or structure into my life in this way. Like we'll start to see the impact of that radical change and the effect that it has on our emotional state and our anger too. We may feel less angry based on the boundaries that we put in place. So that's what I have for Saturday's energy. What does this look like in the tarot with the sextile?
Yes, definitely bringing our mindset to focusing on the community. So I definitely resonate with what you just mentioned for Saturday's transit. On Saturday, April 29th, we have Mars in Cancer, sextile Uranus in Taurus. And in the tarot, this is the Three of Cups, sextile the Fool in the Hierophant and King of Pentacles energy. And this is a really beautiful transit today that opens windows of opportunity for things like teams, groups, business partners, and family to have those new unexpected beginnings in how you commit to working together on tasks and manifesting the value and abundance that you see from working together and combining your energies. And so this is also realizing how powerful a group of people can be when they are all fixed on manifesting the same thing. And I'm not going to lie, I was also getting some of you experimenting with your sexuality and relationships by suddenly being exposed to or willing to try things like a three-way because of past relationship and love experiences. So if it fits, it fits, you know, if it doesn't, let it fly. But overall, there is wealth seen in putting time and energy to this group vision and goal, and the energy is powerful. So whatever you're looking to work on together can be very successful for you all and really bring in a lot of abundance. And earlier on in the week, when we spoke about the transit on Thursday with the Three of Cups, which is the Mars in Cancer squaring Chiron energy, so this was the Three of Cups in energy earlier this week. That was more of the triggering day that we mentioned, right? With the square, and it comes to working in team dynamics, you expressing positions of leadership, it possibly being received or not received, but either way, you focusing on the fact that you're moving forward into more confident and courageous expressions of your leadership. Now that you've gone through that earlier on in the week, coming into this day on Saturday, you're going to have a lot more appreciation for those people that vibe on your same frequency with the Three of Cups. So it's like you're leaving a group situation earlier on in the week just to come into one that is more resonating with your frequency and your energy later on, and closing the week coming up with this Saturday energy for this transit. So just keep that in mind. You know, the things that are meant for you are not going to pass you by, and the things that have expired for you, you have to be able to go with the flow and realize that sometimes you do have to just surrender and be willing to, again, as we said, put the faith in and the work, right? So I'll leave it there. Let's go ahead and close out with Sunday, Soul.
Yes, so Sunday I have two kind of scenarios of how this energy can go. The first is very beautiful energy. We have on Sunday, April 30th, the Sun in Taurus trine the Moon in Virgo. So the first kind of image that I got for this, mind you, they're trine at 9 degrees, so the sun will be at 9 degrees Taurus with the moon at 9 degrees Virgo, which is a Sagittarius degree. So I felt like, speaking about that resentment that earth signs deal with, I think this is a beautiful day of prosperity and abundance actually for earth signs, like, because I do feel like we are going to experience the abundance of our commitment to make it work with the resources that we have at our disposal, right? With Taurus being that stability and that perseverance, and Virgo being about resources, right? Even when our emotions were like, I don't have it, where is it coming from? What am I going to do? How is this going to work? Like that commitment that we've had to, like, you know what? I'm going to just get creative. I'm just going to be resourceful. I'm just going to do whatever it takes to make this happen. Something will give finally. Something will be expanded. Something will be a lot more effortless, right? And being able to take it to the next level because of that perseverance that we had to just make it work with whatever we had by any means necessary. And we'll be able to see whether that's like recognition, whether that's financial abundance that actually now maximizes our resources, that maximizes our creative potential because we have more resources at our disposal. That Sagittarius is going to bring some sort of amplitude to this relationship, this like very beautiful, harmonious relationship that the sun is having with the moon. They're both on one accord, being in these like feminine earth energies of like, how can we benevolently serve you for your obedience, your trust, your surrender to spirit, even when you didn't know where the money was coming from, where the resources were coming from, where the support was coming from. Moon in Virgo can also be emotional faculties and resources as well. The days that you were tired, the days you were over it, the days that maybe you didn't really believe in yourself, but you just kept pushing because that Taurus energy, right? Something greater than you was telling you keep pushing forward. You'll see some sort of fruit. Or the other energy or visual that I was getting is that resentment that is built up within earth signs. Somebody's gonna crack on this day. Somebody's gonna tell the truth, right? And they're, in earth sign fashion, they're gonna come with all the receipts. May 21st at 5:23 p.m. you did this, you crossed this boundary, and then before you say that was the only time it happened, we gonna pull up September 12th at 3:24 p.m. when you did it again. Like, someone is gonna come with all the facts, with all the receipts of like, they don't want to be a doormat anymore, and that this Sagittarius degree takes on a different energy of being that very blunt and honest, kind of energy that ends up being provoked. Like, you have the sun and moon now supporting one another to say, you know what, it stops here, right? The abuse or the neglect or the taking advantage of stops here. And I have all the receipts in case somebody tries to gaslight me and say, what are you talking about? Like, that was that only that one time, or that never happened. Like, true Virgo fashion, you're gonna have all the receipts for what it is that you're talking about. And I think overall it comes to the personal responsibility that, like, even if we're able to show the receipts, understand that those are all examples of which we allowed it to continue. We enabled the problem. We continued giving even though we felt like we didn't have it, or that we were dishonoring ourselves by continuing to give to people who weren't appreciative. Like, as much as like we'll have the energy to really put people in their place, it's also a moment of accountability as well, of like, how can we not allow it to get to that point where now we crack? And yeah, we're spitting facts, we might be hurting some feelings, but everything we're saying is absolute facts. But can we advocate for ourselves before it gets to the point of no return? So that's what I have for Sunday's energy. I think it's a really beautiful time to just like reconcile and like get grounded, and like, what kind of emotional responses do we want to have to what we perceive as obligations? Are they really obligations, or like we're taking on more than we can handle and now being resentful because we feel like it's an obligation? Like, it might hurt our ego, but like, life will continue without us. People will find a way to make it work even without us. So like, that part of us, especially in earth signs, that feel like, but how will they survive? But how will they eat? But everything will fall apart if I'm not there to help. Like, it honestly probably, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. So we have to let go of that part of us that feels like the whole world is going to crash if we're not there to save everybody. So that's what I have for Sunday. Empress, you can close us out for this week.
Yes, that's making me think of last week, one of the transits that we touched on, where I was mentioning Taurus season is a time where you're going to have to cut off certain expenses that allow people that, what is the word? When you're an enabler, you're enabling attitude in terms of wanting to do the work to help provide for other people, and then it putting them in an enabling attitude to where they're just naturally, like you said, so being like, oh, they got it, they're good, like they don't need, like I can just keep mooching off of them and they'll be okay, they'll live, they look fine, they got sturdy knees. So for Sunday to close out the week, on April 30th, we have the sun in Taurus trining the moon in Virgo. And after yesterday's transit, exactly what you said, so I was really getting this really powerful like group link up energy, like earth signs unite, like Power Ranger, like touching fists and stuff. But in the tarot, this is the Sun in the Hierophant and King of Pentacles energy, trying the High Priestess in the Hermit and Knight of Pentacles. And something I noticed with the Taurus energy this week is that and just in general for Taurus season, I guess so far, we'll see what happens the rest of the season, but it really had me a bit more concise this week. Especially with the Mercury retrograde, we have enough already going on in our minds. Okay, so a simplistic message is more of what we need right now, is what I was taking away from that. And I love what you mentioned, Soul, about today's energy being like that blunt, honest energy that literally spells out Taurus and Virgo energy, right? That blunt Taurus. Who knows a Taurus that just tells you like it is? Like, if they're tired of your shit, they're gonna be like, okay, I'm done, I'm not doing this no more. And they'll literally be that bull in the field that you're trying to push, and they're not budging, right? And that honest energy comes from that throat chakra with Virgo, right? Being activated with Mercury. So, really being able to, with Mercury retrograde, see that we already have so much going on, right? And to end out the week, today's forecast is that free flow of energy between positive results from disciplined uses of your time and resources, and also being able to reflect on how your continued cultivation and adaptability ensures persistent and organized movement towards reaping the harvest. Because we're in spring season now, where we planted seeds in Aries. We're still planting / now starting to tend to the soil that we planted those seeds in. And so we're getting into that mode of spring. But keep in mind, when we're getting into the fall season, right, as we're closing out summer and coming into fall with the Virgo energy, and coming into Libra, we're coming into that harvest energy, right, as we're coming into the fall. So really just realizing that you have been able to create in your lifetime before. There have been times where you've wanted to create something, you've wanted to manifest something, and it has happened in this lifetime for you. And when you look back at that thing that you created, whatever that could be for you, just use one thing as an example. What got you to your success and being able to create or manifest that successfully was your persistent and mutable attitude, right? To not let changes in certain plans derail you and cause you to quit on your commitments. And so today's energy closing out the week is a reminder that you have done it before and you can do it again by showing up for yourself every day with this Taurus and Virgo energy. Even when you don't feel like it, when the alarm clock is going off and it's 5 o'clock in the morning and you know you need to wake up in order for you to get your routine finished before you need to get ready and leave the house for work, you still get up out the bed instead of hitting the snooze. So today's energy is a reminder that you've done it before, you can do it again. You can get and shift into that mindset again to reevaluate, reassess what mind state was I in to really get that manifestation and create it and really see it in my physical reality. We're dealing with earth energy today. What creations, what physical materials, look around in your reality on today. What things have I literally been able to create and manifest? I can do that again by showing up for myself every day, valuing your vision and planning enough to actually schedule, being able to stick to your schedule, being able to eat healthy, moving your body, learning, teaching, connecting. This is our year, like I said. And so you feel that. So don't give up on the feeling and keep moving, keep things moving. Okay, I'm going to again keep today's transit short. This is not anything different. In closing out this week, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of AstroTea. We really enjoyed your energy so much and look forward to seeing you next week, Sunday. Go ahead and check out our link tree to join our email list. You can also order your AstroTea products and book a personal consultation with the two of us. Definitely use up that YouTube timestamping feature for this week's episode and join us here on Clubhouse and over on Instagram to catch up between episodes as well as over on YouTube. We love you so much and have a terrific week.